Now, Queen Victoria really did sleep here. In fact, the mattress is the same one, a horsehair mattress. Very comfortable, I'm told, because we're in Dunrobin Castle, Golspie, in Sutherland. Your postcard today. When you arrive here at Dunrobin Castle, you actually come and see it from the back, don't you?
That's correct, yes.
And you think you're actually arriving somewhere in Bavaria or Austria.
It does, yes.
It gives you that feeling that you're not anywhere in the British Isles at all.
That's correct. It does look a bit continental, yes.
So its best view is from the front?
Yes, the front was originally, that was to be the front door. When the Duke arrived, he would arrive on his yacht and he would get off at a pier on the seafront and he would come up through the Westminster Gate to the main gardens and come up through the castle. This is just the back entrance to the castle.
So that's why they did it sort of about face, was it? 'Cause
Yes.
he used to come from the sea.
Yes.
That's that little curiosity solved. Keith, tell us about this place, because it looks pretty Victorian. Does it go back much further?
Yes, it does. The part we're in at the moment is very Victorian. It was built between 1835 and about 1850 by Sir Charles Barry. But the main part of the castle, the old keep, is approximately 1175.
That far back?
Goes that far back, 12th century, yes. And then there's been various add-ons through the years until we come round to this more modern part, which is only 150 years old.
And has it always been in the same ownership?
Ever since day one.
Correct. And who's that?
That's the Countess of Sutherland, the present incumbent title holder.
So from that time, then they're still here?
They're still here, yeah.
So how is it they managed to hold on to such a beautiful looking place? And before this, obviously, there was something just as grand, was there?
Well, I wouldn't say just as grand. This has been here for an awful long time. It's called Dunrobin Castle, but in fact it's more of a palace than a castle. So there's never been any battles, there's never been any ruins or anything such like. So it's always been fairly easy for the upkeep of the castle.
And I must presume then that what this stood for was the wealth and the eminence of the Sutherlands.
Absolutely.
So they poured money and everything else into it because it would be what was perceived from the outside world. So the Sutherlands were very, very, very rich and powerful?
Oh, certainly, yes. Certainly when the Countess of Sutherland of the late 1700s met and married a gentleman from the Midlands, for the second Marquess of Stafford, and they, in their own right, was a fairly powerful and wealthy family. And once the two families came together, it became an immensely wealthy family, one of the richest in Europe.
What famous people have come here?
Oh, there's been numerous famous people. Probably the most famous was Queen Victoria. The third Duke's wife, Duchess Annie, was mistress to the robes to Queen Victoria, and also a great friend. And she'd promised to visit here in the 1860s, but then unfortunately Albert died and she went into the long period of mourning. But she kept her promise and she came in 1872 and she stayed here for approximately 10 days. And it was well sort of put out in her Highland diaries that her time here was wonderful and she enjoyed it enormously. There's also Winston Churchill has stayed here. The Duke of Kent has stayed here.
Duke of Windsor, I saw his picture as I was just strolling up here too.
The Duke of Windsor was also a great friend of the 5th Duke of Sutherland, who died in 1963.
What are some of the features that really stand out here in the palace, the castle?
Well, exterior-wise, the castle itself from the sea is magnificent, and its turrets and its difference. But the features inside, the dining room where we're sat, is rather grand.
Laid for a dinner? Does it ever actually happen, this dinner?
Yes, yes, it does. Yes, it does happen on certain occasions. We hold evening dinners here.
And does the present incumbent still entertain here? Is it still his home?
Well, the present incumbent is a countess. It's a lady.
Oh, a lady, that's right.
But her eldest son, Lord Strathnaver, yes, he does entertain here from time to time.
So it's used as a home as much as a place to visit?
It certainly is.
And the paintings, all originals, are they all Sutherlands?
Yes, mostly Sutherland or part of the Sutherland family, which have come together. Behind us there we have Duchess Harriet, the 4th Duke's wife. They've moved it since. The 18th Earl of Sutherland, who was a very famous chap. He died quite young in Bath, actually, taking the waters.
Really?
Yes, they'd been ill and they'd gone off to Bath to try and recuperate, and unfortunately died of typhus.
What about the good Sutherlands? Are there Sutherlands that stand out in British history as being really good eggs?
Oh yes, absolutely. I mean, all through the Sutherland family you can trace back, they've tried to do good. In particular, the 3rd Duke of Sutherland, who actually opened up the Highlands with a railway. He had his own railway, and still to this day we have Dunrobin's own private station. So he was quite good at helping local community, and also with land reclamation and such like.
What about the more tyrannical ones? Because everywhere you go round here, and I heard about it, you know, at school in British history about the clearances, and I'm sure lots of people have heard of it, but what does it actually mean?
Well, I think it is more a myth than anything. Now, certainly the clearances it's in history and we all know about it, and it was a terrible time for these people. It all happened in Sutherland during the 1st Duke's time, and the general idea was to give the people that lived on the hills a better way of living, a better life, because they were basically starving on the hills. But unfortunately, the people that carried out these evictions, these so-called evictions, were far more ruthless than the Duke perceived them to be. Such people, they'd be factors and managers, farm managers, and they got rid of these people in a fairly awful way. And therefore,
burn them out and things.
That happened, certainly. And of course, the man at the top of the tree would be the Duke, and he's the one that would really take the rap for it.
Buck stops.
The buck stops there, but he wasn't aware of an awful lot that went off.
As you go through these rooms and I see different things, I mean, there's, you know, crockery there. I mean, you just want to stop and you just want to have a look at absolutely everything. Do you think you've got something here that is a bit of a museum? Or is it something, this is what I was asking about with the Duke, Strathnaver,
yes,
whether he lives here and it's also his home. Is this the problem? Now that you find British aristocracy has to open up their homes because it must take a lot to upkeep a place like this.
Yes, it's not a museum piece. It is, above all, it's still a home, and it's the Countess Sutherland's home, and she has private apartments here, and she uses it as a home. We do try to make the public feel that this is not a museum, and it is still a home, and in all honesty, the public that go through do get that feeling.